Hello everybody, welcome to Mega Discourse and today's topic is Subaltern Studies. Now this is an on-demand video. Subaltern Studies, this is one of the topics which seems to be complex to our students because we do not know the difference between the Subaltern Studies and post-colonial studies and from where Subaltern Studies comes and who are the important scholars and writers, their key terms and their books. So this video will be a whole package of this Subaltern Studies. So I have also included some of the most important previous year questions points in this video. So not in the form of question, but I will tell you the most important points that have already been asked in the NET PYQs. So it is not just for the NET exam. So even if you're preparing for some TGT, PGT or other gate level examination or any teaching examination of this particular English literature, then this video is very useful. So let us just not waste our time and just start. So what is Subaltern Studies? So basically Subaltern Studies is, a part of our post-colonial studies. We should know this fact that this is a part of this post-colonial studies. Post-colonial studies क्या होता है? So we know that UK, the Britishers made colonies. They made colonies in various parts of the world while they were exploring. So it is this Africa and the Middle East countries and the countries like India who were their colonies, and they used to own the administration, we can say the law, the policies, the resources. So all of these things of these colonies were, controlled by the Britishers. So that is how a colony is made. So they own everything. So if we try to understand what are the after effects of this colonization, so that is known as post-colonial studies. If I try to understand the consequences, the influence that these people had on the minds of the colonizers and what kind of trauma they give to the people and how the country had changed after this. For instance, this India was named as a Sone ki Chidiya, the golden bird, but now it is no longer a Sone ki Chidiya. So this is an effect, this is an after effect of this colonization. So in this colonial studies, we study subaltern studies. So what is subaltern studies? Let me just erase it first and then I'll make you understand what actually subaltern studies is all about. So I talk about subaltern studies. Subaltern, who are subaltern? So when it comes to the etymology or the origin of this word, so we have sub plus alter. Sub means someone who is lower, and then we have, these are the Latin roots. These are the Latin roots, okay? And alter means other. So a person who is of lower strata, lower status, and who we call as other. We are not taking that thing or person as a primary person. We are taking it as secondary, or we can say the other. I hope that you are already familiar with the concept of other. So if you are taking somebody as a lower, if you are thinking of somebody as inferior, of inferior rank, so that is subaltern. So from there this word comes. And in the times of Antonio Gramsci, the meaning of this word was subaltern used to be the junior officer. Military he used to be the junior officer, below the captain level. So what happens one day? Here we have this Antonio Gramsci. He was in the jail. He was put into the prison because he was fighting against the regime of Benito Mussolini, it was a kind of fascist regime. Fascist regime, he was fighting against this fascist regime. Fascist means a dictator. We can say a dictator like Hitler. So he was fighting against this regime. So he was put into the prison, and there he wrote prison notebooks. There he wrote these prison notebooks from 1929 to I think 35. So there he wrote these notebooks. It was a kind of diary or his expression. It was very autobiographical. He was a writer. So he wrote these notebooks, the diaries, and he wanted to write the word workers. He wanted to write this word workers. But he could not write this word. Why? Because if he had written the word workers in those notebooks, then the notebooks will be, censored by the executioners, or we can say the jailers. that we cannot transfer these notebooks outside the prison or jail, because these are the political notebooks, as they are talking about the workers, the class, the struggle. Because Gramsci was a Marxist philosopher, Marxist theorist. So he was following the Karl Marx, who also talks about the workers and class struggles. So if he had written the word workers, then the notebooks would have been banned. The notebooks would have been censored. So in order to avoid that situation, what he did? He changed the word. He changed the entire word, and then he wrote subaltern. He used the word subaltern. Okay, so from here this word comes. So he called the powerless workers, the workers who are powerless, who does not have money, the proletariats. He called them subaltern. Now, what will happen? Let us see. I hope you are enjoying the lecture. Basically, let us just try to understand subaltern first. So subalterns, these are the people who have no power. They do not have any power. First of all, just revise with me that they do not have any power. They have no representation. Just consider a situation: you are in a class, in a school, in a class, and you do not have a power in the class. No student listens to you, and you do not have any representation. You are never been monitor. Teachers does not pay any attention to you, and nobody sits with you. So you do not have any power at all. You have no representation and no place in history. Wait a second. And you have no place in history. Nobody writes about you. If somebody writes history, nobody writes about you. Nobody cares about your needs, about the exploitation that you are going through. So these are the people who are known as subaltern. And these are the people who are excluded from the hierarchy of power. For instance, in India, we used to have Varna system. Wait, let me show you here. So this used to be the kind of system that we have had. So this is a kind of Varna system. Okay, the system which our B.R. Ambedkar ji, the constitution maker, who resisted this kind of system. So basically, in the lower we have untouchables, like we have outcasts of the people who have been outcasted from the society, street sweepers, Latin cleaners. Then we have the Shudras, are the common people, the peasant farmer servants. We have our Vaishyas, merchant, landowners. Then we have Kshatriya, warriors, knights. And then we have Brahman, who are the priests and academics. And on the top, we have the gods. So this is how this system works. So these are the people who are lower in the power. They do not have any power. They have no representation. They are not being heard. Nobody listens to them. They do not make policies. So subaltern are basically these people, or we can say the people who do not even belong to this hierarchy. This is a kind of hierarchy. So the people who do not even belong to this kind of hierarchy, even not this place, even not this place. So those are known as subaltern. So now it is a kind of, it is a kind of lowest in the lower. So these are these people. So let us just see. So in India, who are subaltern? In India, Dalits. Dalits are the people who, they are the lowest in the caste. When it comes to the caste system, they comes at the lowest. So these are the people who are subaltern because they are not being heard. They have no power. We have still lots of exploitation cases against Dalits. When we read the newspaper daily, we see a lot of kind of caste-based, discrimination against Dalits. Still in this 21st century. Then we have farmers, are the people who are just, subjected to the orders of, big farmers. Owners ho gaye. In the workers, we have owners, the company owners ho gaye. We have the company owners, big industrial people, merchants. So they exploit the workers. Farmers are getting exploited. Adivasis and tribals, they are also getting exploited. Why? Because government want their jungles. Government want their forests. They want their forests. For what? For mining purpose and for resources, for trees, for resources, for rubbers. So to make tunnels, I just forgot this point, to make tunnels. So even the forest resources. And then we have women who is a double marginalized. How? Because the woman has to face politics in her home and also in the society. Because in her home, it is the man, or we can say male, who is at the authority, and in the society she is also exploited. So she is doubly exploited. So in India, we can call these people as subalterns. So basically this I have already told you. And let me tell you a few important ideas so that you can understand the upcoming slides. Okay. So first we have anti-essentialist. What is anti-essentialist approach? Is the approach in which we do not consider anything as essential, right? We do not, for instance, if I say Pandit, we have these Brahmins. If I call that these are the people who are essential, who are important, who are primary, and these are only the people who are rational, who are advanced, who are superior. So that is a kind of essentialist policy. But this subaltern studies is not essentialist approach. They say that we should become anti-essentialist. We all are equal. There is nobody who is essential. There is nobody who is advanced. There is nobody who is superior. So that is anti-essentialist approach. So that is subaltern, and that is subaltern in India. And this is the main idea of subaltern. Let me tell you a more. So now let us talk about the birth of subaltern studies, that how subaltern studies came into being. So first of all, you should know that in 1982, it came into being. How? There is this historian, Ranjit Guha, who has founded this group, Subaltern Studies Collective, or we can say group. Okay, so he founded this group. He was the founder. And they produced a journal series. There is this very important book that is 1982 he has produced, that is Subaltern Studies Volume 1. This is a kind of series. So this is very important. You must know this. So basically when it comes to his objective behind forming this kind of group was on some aspects of historiography of colonial India. This is a manifesto of Ranjit Guha, in which he says that both British and Indian nationalist historians ignored subaltern. How? Let me make you understand. Who are the British historians? Are the historians who have, recorded the history according to their own needs. They said that India is a country which needs to be civilized. This country needs to be civilized. These are the people who are irrational, who are uneducated, who are full of superstition, and they need to be educated. That is the white man's burden. We have a burden to educate them. We have to give them technology, right? And what they did, they exploited us. They wanted clerks for their administration, educated Indian clerks. So they taught us. So these British historians, they do not care about these subalterns, our people, our Dalit, our women, our tribals. British historians never cared about subalterns of India. They just cared about what? They cared about the Indian money elites, because elites will benefit them. Indian educated elites, because only those will benefit them. So they ignored subaltern. In the history books of Britishers also, they justify this fact that why we exploited India, why we made India a colony, because we wanted to educate them. It is for the good that we did so. So they kind of justify this thing. So that is the main thing. And then we have Indian nationalists. Indian nationalists, how Indian nationalists exploited? Because Indian nationalists, like the Indian elites jo the, we have big elites like Indian National Congress, okay, and the big elite people, the authorities, the celebrity, the freedom fighters, the big freedom fighters who had the names in the books of history. Indian nationalist historians kind of, ignored subalterns. It was the subaltern, it was these subalterns who became the mob, who fought against the Britishers, because they were the crowd that we need in order to resist, in order to fight against the East India Company. We needed people in large numbers. We needed women, we needed children, we needed people to fight, to become violent. So who are these people? The people who are in the mob, in the crowd, are not the elite people. Elite will never fight like this. These are the people who are subaltern, who are poor, who have no representation, who have no power. Even if they die, even if the mob dies, nobody cares. These Indian nationalists say that these subalterns are the people who are fighting for the country, for the sake of country. They're fighting for the sake of Gandhi. We have seen this thing in Raja Rao's Kanthapura. There used to be different, groups Varnas, and they were all fighting because of Murthy, because of Gandhism. But nobody, nobody noticed the life of the people, like the people of the subaltern of that area. So the whole book is centered around the Gandhi, but nobody is talking about the subaltern groups. So basically, that is the key argument here, that the historiography of colonial India is not accurate, and the British historians and the Indian nationalists ignoring subaltern, that subaltern can fight because of their own concerns. They have their own matters, they have their own concerns. So let us talk about the founding members. So in the founding members, we have Ranjit Guha, who is the founder of this group, and then we have Partha Chatterjee, Shahid Amin, Spivak, we have Gyanendra Pandey and Dipesh Chakrabarty. So we would be talking in a little detail about the Partha, Spivak, Dipesh, and we would also discuss a few works of subaltern literature after discussing these. Now let us just talk about the founder first. We have Ranajit Guha, who was born in 1923 in Bengal. He died in 2023, and in University of Sussex, he was a professor. And there is this key book, Elementary Aspects of Peace and Insurgency in Colonial India in 1983. So in this book, he talks about the peasants who used to revolt. An example of Santhal rebellion, basically Santhal rebellion, it is a tribe. Santhal is a tribe. 1855 fought against the Britishers, against the colonies. And the people said that they fought. These peasants, these tribals fight. So the Britishers called them as spontaneous, that they are fighting unnecessarily. They do not need to fight. Why are you fighting? Why are you behaving like an immature person? Or why are you behaving like a monster? You are fighting like this. You are not educated. You are irrational. This is primitive, means you are behaving like wild men and women who used to exist, Adivasi, tribal types of people. And this is irrational rebellion that you are doing. But those peasants had their own logic against this fight. They were fighting for their own rights of subaltern, the right of the people, their own fundamental rights, the right of their land. Okay, so they had their own logic, their own consciousness, their own revolutionary thinking, but everybody ignored them. So there are three kinds of voices in historiography. When we write history, there are three kinds of voices that we get. First is this colonialist voice. Then we have nationalist voice, which I have already discussed before this. Colonialist voice are the voices of the colonizers, that they said that they are spontaneous, primitive, irrational being. Why are they fighting? They are superstitious. And then we have nationalists who ignored them. Why? Because they called them only when they needed more, when they needed people in large numbers. But otherwise, in other case, they never called them. Because what they will do, they will then demand the rights of their land. And those things they do not want to give them. So then there is subaltern voice, which is missing. When we write history, we always talk about Gandhi. We always talk about Rani Lakshmi Bai. We always talk about Indian National Congress, their struggles. We always talk about Bahadur Shah Jafar. We never talk about farmer. We never talk about women. We never talk about the children. We never talk about the tribes. We never talk about the workers. Why most of the book of the history is filled with only these famous people? So that is the subaltern voice which are being ignored in the historiography. So I hope now you understand. Let us talk about Partha Chatterjee now. So basically, Partha Chatterjee is born in 1947 in Bengal, and he studied in Columbia, and he is a professor in CSSC Kolkata. Social studies ke liye hai. This is for the social studies. So his first idea is that he challenged Benedict Anderson. Who is Benedict Anderson? We have studied Benedict Anderson's idea in the post-colonialism imagined communities. We have studied this idea already. Imagined community. Benedict Anderson says that we all live in a country where there is an imagined, everything is imagined. Our community is imagined. There is no nation. There is no idea of nation. We all imagine that we are living in a nation. Because print media has forced us to do so. if somebody keeps calling you that you are an Indian and you are from Punjab and you are neighbor of Haryana and you are brother and sisters and you are all a part of India. So there is this community, you all are a part of a community, and that is Indian community. So this is how we at least imagine the things to be. So that is an imagined community. So this is what Benedict Anderson says. But Partha Chatterjee says that who are you to tell us that what a nation should be like? Are you the one who will give us the idea of nationalism? So in this nationalist thought and colonial word, 1986 is the PYQ of NET. I am telling you this, PYQ of NET. So in this, he challenges this idea of nationalism, that why should we follow the Western ideas of imagined communities, of how a nation should be, right? So he challenges them. First idea. Second, he gives two kinds of domain, that is inner and outer domain. In outer domain, we have, hope you are getting what I'm saying because I'm making you understand in a very easy language. So in outer domain is the domain, this is an outer domain. In outer domain, we have the economy, state, politics. So it was the Britishers were the people who ruled us in economy, in state, in politics. They kind of ruled us here. We let them rule here. But they never interfered in our inner domain, that is culture, religion, and home. That was the thing which was unruled. We can say unruled. So that is our inner domain. So they never interfered in our inner domain. And in the inner domain, very important thing, and in the inner domain, we have women comes in the home. And that is the reason that it took so many years for women to get advanced, for the laws of women. We have Sati Pratha, Sati immolation. So it was so hard to, scrap this policy of Sati burning. So these two are the main ideas of Partha Chatterjee. So you should know about this imagined communities of Benedict Anderson and how Partha challenges this. So this can be a net question next time, and this is the PYQ. And here also, let me tell you, this book is also a PYQ of NET. Okay, this is also PYQ of NET, and this is very important. And remember all these founding members. Gayatri Chakrabarty was not a member in the initial phase, but she later becomes the member. You should know this also. Now let us just come to our Spivak. Very important theorist we have. Very versatile. So Gayatri Chakrabarty Spivak, she was born in 1942 Calcutta, and she studied in Columbia University, and she translated the Derrida's of Grammatology, the work on the deconstruction. She's translated this into English. You should tell me the year in which she translated this work into English. Tell me in the comment section. If I give you some questions, please try to get the answer and tell me in the comment section. This will boost me, this will boost my motivation to teach. Otherwise, my motivation will also decline. Her most important work is the Can the Subaltern Speak 1988, most famous essay, again the PYQ of NET. So in this, she asked that, is there any voice of subaltern? We are telling that subaltern should speak. But where should a subaltern speak? Where should she speak? Is there any discourse for her, for them? Is there any discourse for them? Wait. Is there any discourse for subalterns where they can speak? Is there any platform where they can speak? Are they being heard? Who listens to them? Who buys their book? We always buy the book of Shakespeare. We always buy the book of canonical writers. We do not buy the books of Dalit writers, of tribal writers, of Adivasi, of women writers, so of laborers. We never buy their books because we do not consider them as important. Even in the mainstream media, in the mainstream education system, because now they are being under the Indian knowledge, now they are being excluded, now they are being included, but still. So where they should speak? Can they speak? And if they can speak, where should they speak? And in what manner they are being spoken for? She says that the people, the scholars, the intellectuals, they are trying to speak on the part of subaltern people. They are trying to speak on their part. If I am meeting with a Dalit person, then I will first listen to his or her story and then I will write a book on it. But here I am writing, not she is writing. It is the I who is writing. I will modify some of the things. So that is not a first-hand experience. So this is can subaltern even speak? In 1999, she has also written this book, A Critique of Post-Colonial Reason, very important, again a PYQ of NET. And 85 में Three Women's Sex and A Critique of Imperialism, again a PYQ of NET. And she was influenced by Derrida and Marx, again a PYQ of NET. She calls herself as a Marxist feminist deconstructionist. She calls herself as this. So there is an example she takes, that is Sati widow immolation that I was talking about few seconds ago. So widow immolation is basically when a widow is burnt with the dead body of her husband when the husband dies. So she has to be burned and burned alive, I would say. So that was widow immolation. So she says that there used to be two kinds of voices when Sati was being burned. So there used to be two kinds of voices, right? First we have the voice of the Indian society. These Indian people says that it is her sacred duty. It is her duty to get burned with the husband who has died because she should not live. What kind of logic is this? That why a woman cannot live if her husband dies? So it is her sacred duty. So this was the voice of Indian society in those times. We have the second voice, that is we are saving Indian women from barbaric tradition. These are the voice of the Britishers. The East Indian Company Britishers, who said that what they are doing, they are burning a whole human, a woman alive because her husband died. So they are it is so barbaric, this is so cruel, and we have to save that Indian woman. Of course, this is a good thing. And they, inspired Indians to scrap this policy. It was Raja Ram Mohan Rai who fought against this, who was the one. But her own voice, this is the question. Where is the voice of that woman? In both the cases, she is the one who is spoken for. She is being spoken for. Indians are speaking for her, Britishers are speaking for her, but she is silent. She is not speaking at all. So can the subaltern even speak? So here is the concept. I hope you are getting my points. Now let me talk a bit more about her. We have two important concepts of Spivak. First is epistemic violence, then we have strategic essentialism. Epistemic violence means episteme. Tell me in the comment section the meaning of this word. Who gave this term? Tell me in the comment section who gave this term. So episteme means knowledge. Episteme means knowledge. So when there is a violence in the knowledge, so Spivak says that the knowledge system is being destroyed. That the knowledge system is being destroyed. How would subalterns speak? The knowledge system of subalterns are being destroyed. If we talk about Macaulay Minutes, 1935, it was an act on education that English should be taught. English should be a medium of language in higher school. So what they did, they said that they should not be taught in their native language, in their own language. So we should force English on them. So that is a kind of violence on their episteme, on their knowledge system. So that is epistemic violence. They also said that we need Indians who are English in blood, Indian in blood and color, and English in the way they speak, in their opinions, in the beliefs. This is that the library of the whole Asia and India, that is nothing in front of the European shelf, European library. Then she gives the term strategic essentialism means. Wait a second. Strategic essentialism means that we should not become essential. Of course, it is anti-essentialist approach. Subaltern Studies is an anti-essentialist approach, but she says that strategically, temporary, by some plan, being, we should be essentialist. We should focus on the women groups. We should focus on the women groups. We should focus on the labor groups. We should focus on different classes. We should focus on different tribals, and they should all form groups. And these groups Wait a second, let me clear it. And these groups should fight, right? They should fight. So this is strategic essentialism, that strategically by a plan they should come with in a solidarity with each other, and then they should fight. And once the work is done, when you are done with the objective that you wanted, you should again get separated. So this is strategic essentialism. So basically this is the idea, and we should know that Spivak is very versatile theorist, and these are all PYQs. They both are PYQs. And this is also a PYQ. This whole slide is a PYQ. I have included most of the important things. If you're watching our lectures, our videos, then you know that we are including the material that is, yes, that is asked in the examination, not the material that is on the surface level. So please, if I give you some homework, then you should do that. Otherwise, you just keep giving your attempts for your examination, be it UGC or anything. You will just fill the form and give and get no benefit. Now we have our Dipesh Chakrabarty. He has given this work. This is Provincializing Europe, and this was published in 2002. Very important. This is also PYQ of NET. And he was born in 1948, Bengal, University of Chicago. He used to teach, and Subaltern Studies group he is the member. Now, he said that there is a problem. In this work, he says that there is a problem, and that problem is that history is built on European assumptions, that history is built on the European ideas, the ideas that are given by European people. Hope you have already watched our lecture of History of British English, or the history, if you know. So there used to be an Enlightenment age, and in those Enlightenment age, there used to be philosophers like John Locke, we have Immanuel Kant, and Voltaire ho gaya. We had many such Enlightenment philosophers and thinkers who said that there should be liberal ideas, there should be democracy, there should be focus on reason, logic, है ना? They gave these ideas, and the whole world, these are the Britishers, and the whole world kind of followed these ideas. So these are the Enlightenment ideas, like civil society, that society should behave in such a way, there should be modernity. Modern kya hai? They defined the definition of modernity. Who are modern? They said us that what is progressive? Developing countries and the developed countries, there is a difference between them, but who gave the difference? For you, big buildings, cars, AC, and technology and AI can be a part of development, but the nature, the traditional methods of our villages, and all those things, the rural things, they can also be a part of development now. Why are you telling us what modernity looks like, what progress looks like, what democracy looks like? So these are the ideas. So history is built on European ideas. So why we always focus on them? Why we make Europe as essential? So that is the reason he says that we should provincialize Europe. Provincialize means, let me tell you what is the meaning of this, as lots of students do not even know about these things. Why? Because they are not being taught these conceptual things. You are being taught the terms, and you know very well, you know the terms, but you do not know the concepts behind those terms. And even if you know the concepts, you are not able to relate it, you are not able to apply it, right? Moving back to our topic, provincialize means, what is a province? Province means some local city, some local area, we can say. एक province होता है, एक state हो गया जैसे. So we should provincialize Europe. We should consider Europe as a part, as a place of this world. It is just a place, it is just a local area, state, continent, nation. We should not consider it as a god. We should not consider it as a something which is very superior and which would set the standards. Okay, so that is provincialize Europe. Provincialize kar do. Consider it as a province only. Consider it as a local area, as a city or a state. That's it. Europe is a continent. Bas. Europe is not a god. Then there is another book of Dipesh Chakrabarty, which is The Climate of History in a Planetary Age 2021. This is again a PYQ of NET. So these ideas are from the Dipesh. Now let us just talk about a few works of subaltern literature, and which would be a very interesting part of this video. So first we have Draupadi by Mahashweta Devi. Now, very important work. This work I had in my MA, and you might have read about this work in your PG program or your honors. So it's a part of subaltern literature. where we have the woman Dobdi. She, in the context of Naxalite movement, so they had to face an Operation Bakuli, if I remember the name. So because of that operation, there is a police officer who are, looking for this couple, Dobdi and her husband and the tribals, and they're looking for them and in order to capture them and arrest them. But here our Dobdi was caught. They kind of escaped the police, but she was caught one day. And this Sena Nayak, the police officer, gives the order to the other officers, colleagues, that make her. Make her means to make her ready, because she has to be raped now. Make her ready. They were exploiting her. Why? Because first of all, she is a tribal person. Second, she is a woman, so she is doubly exploited. The thing that I told you, she's a subaltern. So this is how she was exploited. And how she resists. When he was done with her, he tells the other police that to make her wear the clothes, but she refuses to wear the clothes now. She says that, why should I wear clothes? You have done this thing, this bad thing with me. And now you are telling me that I should be shameful, that I should wear the clothes. It is you who needs to be shameful. I should not wear the clothes. And she refuses to wear so. She says that there is not a man here that I should be ashamed. I should not be ashamed. So this is Dobdi by Mahashweta Devi. It is a very short story. You can read it in one day also. So I recommend you to go through this text. If you're not reading the books, if you're not reading the text, then it might be very difficult for you to, crack such examinations. You have to develop your critical thinking no matter what. Do not believe on the courses, do not believe on the batches, do not believe on the notes. Just use your own mind, and it is a literature. Literature is meant to be read. Know this thing. We can make the things easier for you. I can build your curiosity. I can tell you about concepts, different concepts, and the horizon of this literature. But it is the you who has to walk on this path. Then we have Namdeo Dhasal poems. He has written poems like Hunger, Cruelty, and there is this poem that is the Song of the Dog and Republic, in which he says that the dog and the people of India, their situation is same, because on the Republic Day, he set this poem against the Republic Day, that we are still chained, we are still poor, we are still hungry, and there is nobody. If we shout, if we bark, if we shout, wait a second, if we shout and bark against the people who oppress us, they beat us like an animal. So this is the main idea. So we have Namdeo Dhasal, and is also related to the Panther movement, is also associated to this movement. Then we have Karukku, is an autobiographical work of Bama. She is a Tamil writer, and here she talks about, this is translated by Lakshmi Holmstrom, you should know. And here she talks about that Bama is from a Christian family, and she is also a Dalit. She belongs to a Dalit caste in that. And at the same time, she is also a woman. And here she tells about her life, what she has faced throughout her life, how she grew up. And even in the convent, the church place, she was being exploited. She saw an old man one day. He was walking with something in his hand, and he was not touching that thing. He was just holding that thing like this. He was not even touching that. Why? Because the people of the Dalit community, the pariah community, was not meant to touch the food or the things of the upper class. So this is a kind of discrimination that she tells about in this work, and lots of other things as well. So she studies, she becomes a teacher, and this is a kind of her story. Karukku are the Palmyra leaves. Palmyra leaves are the leaves which looks like this. If you have ever seen them, just go to the Google and search Palmyra leaves. And these are there is a symbol, is that double-edged sword. That like Palmyra leaves, we have double-edged sword. That at first she is a Christian minority, Dalit, upar se she is a woman. So it is a kind of double-edged sword There are problems on the sides and she has to face all of these things. Then we have this work. This is These Hills Called Home, Stories from the War Zone by Temsula Ao, again a Nagaland writer. I have included 4 or 5 writers from across the India. There are many works. You should look for them. And here she says that the hills that she used to live in, the Naga hills, they used to be known as homes. They used to be known as homes once a time, but now they have become war zone because there is always a military operations against these tribal people, against their rights. These tribals are the subaltern people, against their rights. So this is the work. If you want to know more about subaltern literature, you should know that in the subaltern literature we have Dalit literature. So Dalit literature is also part of our subaltern literature, and I have not included the Dalit literature works here because you can watch this video in which we have discussed B.R. Ambedkar ji, we have Urmila Pawar, we have Baby Tai Kamble and other writers and their autobiographies. So you should definitely go and watch this video in order to know the lit literature also. So that's all from my side, and thank you for watching this lecture. And do tell me in the comment section about the word episteme. What is the meaning of episteme and who has given this term? Secondly, you have to tell me about when of Dramatology was translated into English. You have to tell me the year. This is your homework, and yes, you have to do this homework no matter what. And if I do not receive the responses from your side, then my motivation will also decline. So I hope you have found this video helpful and our channel helpful. So please stay connected to our channel and share our videos, because there are lots of students who are not getting such insightful sessions on these topics. And let me remind you that we are giving classes on linguistics. Megha ma'am is giving you classes on linguistics. Right, we have covered the 2 parts already, and there would be 4 to 5 parts, right? So go and watch these videos because they are covering linguistics in detail in the updated June and December 2025 from the updated pattern. So you should go and you must go and watch those lectures and make your own notes, right?